Woodward Sports. Join four-time Stanley Cup champion and legendary badass Darren McCarty and the golden voice of Neil Rule. Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. as they give their takes on all things Detroit sports. The number one midday show in Detroit is on. Welcome to Big D Energy.
What is up, Big D Energy?
Big D!
Four-time Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty. I'm Sean Belegian. What's that smell in the air? It's about 60-something degrees, little rain, cool breeze. That's pig in the air, man. Football's right around the corner. The all burnt orange pig, the burnt orange pig with white stripes. It's a beautiful thing. We're going to be talking about a lot of football today. Make no mistake about that. Dan Campbell had some thoughts that maybe surprise you about what went down in the joint practice yesterday, but I have to rewind to yesterday. In case you missed it yesterday, late in the show when we went to the mailbag, and I apologize, maybe one of you guys remember who did it, Kay, Spanny. Yeah. Somebody in the chat asked, Sean, who do you think was the most important member of the grind line?
I believe it was Mike G.
Okay, Mike G.
Shout
there
out.
You go. And I gave the other two guys their flowers that they deserve. One in particular, I don't think gets enough flowers, but I'll let this guy talk about it.
Appreciate that, Sean, but we're friends.
But I had no problem saying Chris Draper. And the reason I said Chris Draper, A, there's no substitute for speed in the game of hockey. And B, and I didn't know this until I got home, he is 10 all time in the history of the National Hockey League in face-off won percentage.
It's a no-brainer. Absolutely no-brainer as I sit here with 4 Stanley Cups, and I said to Flannel in the hallway, I said, Flannel, appreciate the flowers yesterday, but you're wrong. Because it is Chris Draper. It always has been Chris Draper.
He can't win.
The heartbeat, the catalyst, everything goes from him. Now, the one thing that we were talking about before is there's so many different things that go into it. But yes, you're talking about probably one of the most underappreciated or underrated was Kirk Maltby. Chris Draper and Kirk Maltby were arguably two of the best penalty-killing duos, not just in their time, but in NHL history, in my opinion. And the one thing that we all had, and it made it easier, we all made each other better and to play at the top of our games. Now, Joey and I, our job was to protect these POSs. As I used to say, hey, we're going to a pile, and other teams would go, man, how do you like these guys? They're assholes. And I'd be like, man, you should see them off the ice, but they're my assholes. So now what? Right? So we made each other better, but you ask any one of us, Drapes has always been, he's the pivot. He's the core. He's the anchor. There's no question about it. The work ethic and stuff, he sets the tone. And, you mentioned it. You want to get into the logistics of the game, and I think he proved it when he got the opportunity to play up with Sergei and score, almost 20-some goals and win the Selke Trophy and stuff. So, to me, it's a no-brainer. It always has been.
Had to follow up with that, and especially because Mac was in here today. And again, I'm going to say it, like Darren, in my mind, I said this yesterday, and I have no problem saying it in front of him, I don't think Darren maybe gets the credit he deserves for stepping up in the big time. I think people know things. I always go back to the hat trick against Wah in 2002. But let's talk about Maltby for a second, because it's like, to me, how do you quantify what made Maltby a good player? What I brought up is I would be pissed off just looking at that look on his face all the time. But, right, there was always that freaking look on his face, and I would punch him, and then I would take a penalty, and he would laugh at me because the Red Wings would score on the power play 37 seconds later. Yep. I mean, that's kind of what Maltby brought to the table.
That's the extra, right? Along with great skater.
Yep.
Physical, dirty, whatever it takes to win. But I'll, sort of be there. The little thing, block shots. How many times did him or Drapes or whatever lay down in front of shots and stuff like this? So and here's the one thing, we all owned our role, right? We all knew that we had to be the best us, and at the end of the day, why it worked and why it didn't work with a lot of other people is we were on one brainwave.
Yep.
And that's it. And I tell everybody to be a Scotty Bowman hockey player, one of the biggest things that you had to have was some sort of hockey IQ. Or if you weren't as hockey, like even the worst had above average IQ, but you were insulated by the other guys and stuff. So, Chris Draper, end of story.
There you go. Had to bring that back up with Mac in the house. Obviously, it came down while we were on yesterday. Spenny got the video out there. I love it. I'm sorry. Let the hatred begin. I'm a huge believer. I've seen it too many times, whether it be Lion Camp, whether it be Wings Camp, whatever the case may be. There comes a point in time where the teammates get sick and tired of hitting each other. You hit that point and you want to go hit somebody else. I'm sorry. I think it's great to have these joint camps. I think it's fantastic. You know, I heard some people say, I crap you not, Mac. Well, is this a good idea? Because what if somebody gets hurt? Well, there's a line. Sometimes it's crossed, but I think at this juncture of the season, nobody's trying to take somebody else out. No. There's a big difference between getting at it and being a dirty SOB, especially this time of year. And I think being the key and operative word, I'll ask the former professional athlete, I think most of these guys are at the respect point in time right now. Okay, we're not quite ready to clock in. We're not ready to clock in, so I'm not quite ready to go dirty, go low, whatever the case may be. But, Mac, there's nothing wrong with mixing it up like that.
No, but so if we're talking about yesterday, what was it, like 10 altercations or fights or whatever like this, and yeah, you want that against somebody else's team. That's just the hunger. That's just getting back out the competition. Doesn't it remember the exhibition in the 80s and 90s in the NHL? How many fights are in that game?
Unbelievable.
A dozen?
You knew it?
Right? Like, it's just that's what it was. It's sort of like the feeling out process. I didn't pay too much attention other than hearing the comments from Coach Campbell after it. And, that stuff's going to happen. Hopefully it happens this once, and then you can get back down to business because, paraphrasing him, just to say that it was too much, right? And sometimes it gets to be that. And I've been on teams, and whether it was junior or whatever, where the coach, comes in and goes, okay, you've proven your point, but now let's go out and work on stuff, and, I need to see what the talent. So there's sort of a mandate. It's sort of like, didn't you expect that?
Yep.
It's sort of, did anybody not expect that sort of happen? And then go look around the rest of the league, the other teams that are practicing. What's the over-under in total number of fights between, it's all got to be over 100. And that's just guys caring, and let's get back into the season. But I think that you'll see more, say, discipline. But to your point, no. I respect your team. I don't want to go out because then you take a cheap shot and hurt one guy. It's like in rugby, man. You get marked, and then it's back and forth. So what? You're going to have 4 injuries. You're going to have 4 injuries because you're just trying to spite each other. So it's more out of respect is that I won't do it to you. You don't do it to me.
You know what this comes back to? It's funny. I hate to go back to hockey. I really don't. But do you know what this reminds me of? Remember the Rangers and Devils last year?
Yeah.
Remember that whole thing?
Yeah.
And we had so many people get up on their pulpit and cry. It's a disgrace. It's a mockery. And I give full marks to Aaron Ward for coming out and saying, you guys don't get it. Get it out of the system.
Yep.
It's done. And then much like you just said, boom, it's over.
Then you can play.
Now we can play.
Like I've proved, look at how big my balls are. I care, and we're tough, and this and that. Now it's like business, and you've gotten that sort of out of the way. The first dusting, stuff like that. But everybody, think about it. You've gone through OTAs, you've gone through training camp. You really haven't put a lick on somebody, right? Until yesterday. Who was our cornerback that put a lick on one of their dudes? Coming through the middle. That's what you want. You want to see that. Who was that, Spenny?
Maurice Norris.
So guys that are competing, that's what the coaches want to see. I guarantee they're watching that today, and he's saying, you know what? All this other BS now. Trust me, Dan Campbell's not saying back down. Stick together, and I think what you saw, pack lions, right? It wasn't one guy. It's everybody in there, which is what you like, but enough of that proving that we're tough. And that also goes to show the maturity of your team. Mm-hmm. Right? This is what leadership. Now, if I'll relate it to me, like this would happen in a Toronto-Detroit exhibition game in the early 90s. It was like, I got to fight Ken Baumgartner because Proby and Ty Domi are going to go do the dance. And you just know that in Maple Leaf Gardens or whatever, it's just going to go down. There'll probably be a 5-on-5. Different things going to go out. But then it's going to get out of the system, and then you're going to be able to play. So that'd be something to watch for. What's more concerning to me is the injuries.
Yeah.
The injuries coming out of, because we'll continue, and hopefully there's only minor stuff.
We in Detroit can laugh at Danny Jones, and yes, I'm calling him Danny Jones for a reason.
He's got
Danny
little
Jones
hands.
Danny Jones is so tough. Oh, Danny.
He's got smaller hands than Goff.
Hey, listen, all jokes aside, though, that's the kind of stuff. His teammates love that shit.
Yeah.
I mean, they love that. Come on. Daniel Jones is shoving guys. He knows that there are questions about him all over the board. Those questions are going to continue, okay? But when push comes to shove, literally in this case, he sees something, he gets ticked off, he shoves him, it starts it. Mac, in my mind, I think the rest of those Giants are going, that's my guy.
Well, that's, they definitely are. If I'm Brian Daboll, the coach of the New York Giants, that's what you want. Show me some emotion. Daniel Jones more Melbatos than anything else, right? He doesn't, that's the most emotion I've sort of seen out of him. So that's what they like. But again, that's what you want for your $40 million quarterback. It's the same. But here's the thing, Sean. If you watch that and go back and, right, if that was Jared Goff, our offensive line's eating guys.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's to me, it still wasn't to the respect, and maybe it's this guy cares and we'll get involved, but it still wasn't to the extent of if it was Jared Goff, and that's what you also see.
Want to get the thoughts from some of the guys in here as well. I don't think you can make too big of a deal about stuff like this. I don't. Camp itself, yeah, we can have that conversation. I'm a guy, I'm sorry, maybe because I've seen so many, been there, done that, but these skirmishes, I like this stuff. I think it's good. I think it's good for the boys because they're sick and dog tired of hitting one another. I mean, they are. Make no mistake about it, they are sick and dog tired. Obviously, we have to talk about some of the injuries as we look forward to this first exhibition game. I'm going to plead with you now, though. Please don't put too much into it. I know I've said it a few times, but Mac, I'm telling you, Thursday night is must-avoid social media night for me because the people overreacting about a game that means absolutely nothing, and especially about a game that, let's say, God forbid, something happens in the fourth quarter, when you have a bunch of people on the field that are not going to be part of either team. And I see people overreact about it. Honest to God, that is one of my greatest pet peeves in all of sports. Take it for what it is. Take it for the fact that maybe you see some of the key components of this team a little bit, but just understand what it is. It's an exhibition game, and we can all move on with our lives. What happens Thursday, barring a catastrophic injury, God forbid, has absolutely no bearing on what the Lions are or not going to do during this season. And just, please, I beg that every year. I know it's not going to work out that way for some, but hey, listen, I think we're going to get to the point, quite frankly, where I'm not sure we're going to have too many more of these games.
Yeah.
And that would back in the day, me and my boys, Mac, like you said, I used to love going to the exhibition games down at the Joe. I remember this Ty Domi guy. You mean the Leafs have him in the lineup? This is before he broke out. That was can't miss going to the game. And me and my boys used to go to these exhibition games because, quite frankly, you got free tickets, and it was a great chance to go and, quite frankly, heckle some guys. But keep it in its proper context.
Well, heckle, and you'd see more fights in the exhibitions than you would coming into the game. I mean, that's usually what it was, at least the first 3 or 4. You'd have 9 exhibition games, first 3 or 4. It's just, send out your men.
Yep.
So to speak.
No doubt. All right, lots to come. Obviously, we'll continue to talk about the skirmishes yesterday. Hear from Dan Campbell what he had to say about it as well. Some injuries mounting up, a lot of stuff to get into. Don't go anywhere. He's Darren McCarty. I'm Sean Belegian in for Neil Rule. Neil will be back tomorrow. This is Big D Energy.
Now more than ever, it is critical for you to have your insurance reviewed. How do you do that? Well, you go to Swiss Insurance and make sure your carrier's not slipping in extra fees. Call my buddy Mark today at Swiss Insurance, 313-530-1698, or go to swissins.com.
Come to any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men and claim your throne for a king's treatment from one of our talented stylists. Open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Just get to a Lady Jane's today and receive a precision haircut, scalp massage, hot lather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. A haircut should not be a chore. It should be an experience. And that's exactly what Lady Jane's has to offer. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins are always welcome. There's always a location near you. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
The countdown to kickoff is here. Your Detroit Lions are ready for another season of grit. Woodward Sports is your #1 destination for all breaking news and Lions coverage. We are Detroit's #1 sports network. We are Woodward Sports. Enough Detroit sports. Make sure you listen to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz next, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. on the Woodward Sports Network.
Keys Crispy Chicken and Pizza is taking over Metro Detroit. Locations are popping up all over Michigan, known for their quality, hand-battered, hand-breaded chicken tenders, delicious chicken sandwiches, and New York-style pizza. And how could I forget? The best biscuits in the biscuit game. Make sure you tap into Soroki's. Like I said, they just opened a location in Metro Detroit in Madison Heights. If you want to find one near you, go to Sorokis.com to find the location. Soroki's. Now that's crispy.
All right, welcome back in. Glad you can join us. Darren McCarty, Sean Beligian. Gang is all here. We got Kay, Justin, Spenny. I know Spenny's going to get that quote from Dan Campbell. You know what's funny? I wonder how people took Dan Campbell's reaction to it yesterday, Mac, because I think on one hand, there are a lot of people out there that just think that Dan Campbell is Neanderthal, cement head, me grit, me tough, me want fight all the time.
Yeah.
Give the dude a little more credit than that. This dude is pretty sharp. He's pretty smart. And, you know, there's a term that we hear a lot, again, in the game of hockey, time and place. Time and place to show your toughness is very important. I will pick the time and place at my choosing. I think Darren McCarty knows a little something about that. But know that there is
Spot
a time.
picker.
There is a time and place coming real soon.
That's what we call those guys.
Right.
I was one of those guys.
Yeah. Time and place is real, man.
You have to feel the vibration. To me, it's maturity. To me, it's like, I love to see that. It's parental. It's like full control of what he wants, right? Because he'll go from, I'm going to bite your kneecap off, to, guys, enough biting kneecaps. We're not biting kneecaps right now. You know what I'm saying? It's like, how many times you've got direction, and it's one of these things that, and it goes back to, if you're developing a culture or whatever, is that what he said yesterday, and I'm sure he's going to address the team too, but and we're going to hear from Spenny here in a second. Here, let's listen to it first.
Certainly a spirited practice, man. There's a ton of good tape to learn from, from our vets, but also the young guys. I just bring it up again just to get a different look at different types of players that have different skill sets than what you face for 2 weeks now is really beneficial. So, it was good, man. Ton of good stuff. Dave's and I talked, just a couple of things there that we got a couple of guys who go rogue and do some things that start something, and but honestly, not a big deal. A lot of it was guys just breaking things up, and so we need to compete again today and just keep some of that out of it. It makes practice go long, so.
When you listen to him there, right, it's accountability to his team. And now I'm going to see, he's going to say that to the media. He's going to address his team. And the fact is, do you think that they hear him? Do you think that they receive his message? Because I do. So we look today to keep that hammer down, but to do it respectfully. And what he's probably saying today is, guys, we're going to run into this during the season. How are you going to hold your composure and not cause your team the 15-yard personal foul penalty or whatever else going on? So these are all things that I think they're addressing, but listen to when the man talks. They got a lot of good tape, got a lot of things. And still at the end of it, what did he say? Right? That's Dan Campbell saying, yeah, it was a little bit chaotic, but guys were standing up for each other. And he still put the little buffer on it. Like, guys are breaking it up. And so that's what a coach does. And now I think it's imperative. Let's see how that talk and what he's addressed the team comes into today's performance. Because I like to hear out of that good tape on young guys who haven't been in that position professionally before. So you're deer in the headlights or you're excited. So I want to hear more about these young guys and what he liked.
Dude, I don't need to tell you this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Dude is like the ultimate players coach. I mean, his belief in them, saying, yeah, screw it. Let's go for it on 4th and 4 when we can settle for a field goal. I mean, you that's the way that he is. And I think based on what you just said, Mac, I think this is next level players coach. It really is. Hey, boys, listen, it was a little too much. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to chastise you for it. Dad's not going to ground you. I'm not taking away your iPhone, which was the death for my son. Boy, when I said, hand me that iPhone, it was he was up and erect. Anything but the iPhone, right? Dad's not taking away the iPhone, but what Dad's saying is, guys, that was a little too much, and let's limit the dumb. I mean, really, let's limit the dumb. Less dumb this year is a damn good thing.
And to your point, John Fisher in the chat says no fights today so far in practice.
Yeah.
But it's also, too, is like when you say that, and you know what the next level you're talking about is the receiving the message. He's got full attention to everybody in that locker room, to whatever else, so they care. They know that. They know that, okay, that was too much. Dad's looking for a little bit different. Same compete, but let's be a little bit smarter. Yeah. And to me, if you were a camera in the room or a fly on the wall, he's telling you the reasons why. You're going to get tested and the referees and stuff like this, and you're going to go into Green Bay and Chicago and have this personal foul because you got no, we don't do that here. It's about the team. And I think that when you hear him also say a couple rogue guys, you're always going to have that, especially in a 53-man roster, but can you can go rogue once, he's going to address it and don't do it again, or that person probably won't be here because you can't trust them to buying into the team concept.
You know what? How many unbelievably good teams have we seen in the past that were ferocious, that were punch you in the mouth? I go back to the 85 Bears. You could say that unbelievable Ravens defense as well in 2000, that they will knock the snot out of you, okay? But you know what they didn't do? They didn't take those dumb penalties. And they didn't go out and okay, that crossed the line. There's 15. They didn't pick up quarterbacks and body slammed you. They punched you in the mouth, and more often than not, shattered a cheekbone, broke a jaw, knocked out a couple of teeth. But there's a big difference between going out there and grit. By the way, that cap is awesome. I love that 1934 cap. Anybody else with me? I need that cap in my life. But okay, to me, yes, fine line. Go be ferocious. Don't be dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. You like to see it. You like to see the guys showing spirit and fight. That was a little too much yesterday. It was a little, I don't want to see Amon-Ra St. Brown at the bottom of a pile with 10 guys on top of him. I don't want to see Penei Sewell having to fight through 10 different skirmishes. Because he can. I mean, he will. But I don't want him throwing out a shoulder beating some dude's ass, So I like seeing they're more... I don't know. It's more focused. It's more of a driven anger now than it is just. Yesterday was their first taste of blood, like that first bit of chum in the water for the Sharks, and they're going crazy. Now the waves have settled a little bit, and they're back to business.
Yeah, and they'll be better on the discipline front. Like, Dan Campbell has never had a problem with discipline on this team, but we got to realize it's training camp. Guys are competing for jobs. This isn't just, off-season workouts. Guys are actually out there competing for jobs, trying to make the roster. Things are going to get heated sometimes. Now, 10 skirmishes in one day, a little bit much. But Dan Campbell, like Spinny said, he loves that fire. He loves the passion. But he's going to be able to reel these guys in, and they will become more disciplined as it gets closer to the season and once the season arrives. But it's not going to be an issue, man. It's just part of the game.
Think about this, guys. And Mac, especially for guys like you who have been there and done that with this franchise for so many years, okay? Think about what's going on inside our bodies right now. For the first time in my life, And I hesitate for a second because that's how I've been trained.
Yeah.
There's my hesitation. For the first time in my life, I can say I expect the Detroit Lions to be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I expect
Really
him to win
and
the
truly,
Super Bowl.
for the first time in my life, I
Nope.
would always hesitate.
No
Well,
lightning strike is coming. You're okay.
Right. That's exactly yes. This is real. Yes, I expect them to take the next step. I really do. These guys, the guys that are playing, imagine what's going through their head. They know what was last season. They know what is this season. They know that last season was a missed opportunity. I don't care what anybody says. You let San Francisco off the hook. We all know that, okay? Let's admit it. We can all move on. This goes back to the confession that we were talking about before the show. Very soon, we're all going to have like a confessional where we kind of confess our sins. Looking into the future a couple of years, how I'm not going to use the term that you use, but,
Yeah,
but
you
there's going to be a confession in a couple of years.
Yeah.
But with that being said, that's what's going on in these guys' minds. They know what the expectations are, and nobody's going to put pressure on them like they're going to put pressure on themselves.
And Kenny brought up a great point about Dan Campbell and this team being disciplined. Doesn't have a problem with it, but you got to also remember there's new guys.
Yeah.
The new guys got to learn a little bit. Now's the time to learn. So if yesterday
facts.
was a learning experience, if he says that's too much, we don't do that here, then message received, and we'll see it.
Yeah, it lasted a whole first hour of practice because we just got video. I got to download right now of Terrion Arnold and Malik Neighbors going to blows, throwing
Good.
throwing
There you
swings
go.
at each other.
Oh, God.
Good. Yeah?
Yeah, I don't know why everything's taking so long to download right now.
It does, and that's here's the thing. The mandate could come in, right, where we're going to be more disciplined. We're going to do that. But it's still shit like this pops off to, receiver, DB, whatever like that.
Yeah.
Bro, hold your own.
Yep.
So, let's, and I don't mind that as much because you brought up a great point. I don't need to see, Khalif Raymond getting wheeled around by his head or Amon-Ra
Right,
St.
right.
Brown on the bottom of the pile, my stars and stuff. But if it's a one-on-one,
Let him have it.
I'm just saying, if you're going to decide to do that, and I mean, football fight with a helmet on is one of the dumbest things ever.
Yeah.
But
I punched so many helmets in my day.
Makes no sense.
me too,
though.
Spenny. But I can punch them off.
That's fair.
Yeah, the hockey helmet can get punched
This
off.
is
So
documented.
yeah, this is the video from today.
Move your head.
Right?
So there's one.
It's like
not
the
10.
Boomerangs back in the day.
When enough's enough
At the beginning
is
of
when
it.
the coach comes across the field.
Yeah.
There
Right?
he's
Like,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying? When
Yep.
the coaches start. So,
got ducked. He ducked it. Look at that. Look at that
Oh.
weave. You see him throwing the punch right
Nice.
there. Quick weave.
Oh, I wish you could zoom in on that shit. I see it, though.
Look
Nice.
at that.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's the type of elusiveness I like. That's nice.
The veins popping out. There's some force to that yank. Come
Oh,
on
yeah.
now. Oh, is that
Swing of that
I
air.
don't know who that is. I don't think that's Terrion that he's throwing the punch at. I can't see.
Ma-
is it Kirby?
It might be.
Yeah, that's
that is
31.
Kirby.
31, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mac, and you brought it up, and this is the problem that I have today with a lot of people. If you have two willing combatants, let them go.
Yeah.
Always.
It's one thing if Darren goes and decides he's going to grab, name anybody. You're Ryan Kessler. You're gonna go grab somebody and just start pounding on him. No, then you're a douche and you deserve all the crap. that
Well, then
comes
everybody's
with it.
coming in. So you
Right.
jump
Yeah,
somebody,
exactly.
everybody's
Yeah,
coming
yeah,
in.
you're
but
a
if,
hero.
But if you're two guys squaring off,
No,
Yeah.
let him go. I would hope Coach
And
Campbell
it
doesn't
looks
have-
like the Giants player, Malik Neighbors, is the one that threw the first punch or the one that
yeah,
initiated.
that's what I'm
So-
saying is that you're not gonna,
Yeah.
whatever it is, that's so I don't know what happens to there, but one of those they're gonna still happen. Hopefully
Yeah.
that's the only one of the day. That's usually when what'll happen. They'll stop practice, coaches get together, and
Right.
even more so like, okay, boys, you got it out. But the boys are competing. But good Bob there by.
Yeah, man. Kirby.
Obviously, Terry back at practice. We'll talk about that, talk about some of the other injury issues as well. Hopefully, I use this term all the time. I cannot stand hearing people manufacture a pass rush. I want it to happen organically. I want these ends to step up. I'm going to keep hammering that. That minor concern, The good thing about this team heading into this season, I'm going to ask everybody in the room, they don't know it yet, but if you had a concern about this team, what would it be? In years gone by, we know we're Detroit Lion fans. All our concerns were pretty damn big concerns. Can we be adult enough to admit the concerns right now with this football team aren't really big? And we'll get into that when we come back. He's Darren McCarty. I'm Sean Belegian. This is Big D Energy.
Hey, let me tell you, if you need a hair, I was very intrigued, Kenny.
He was. I can see.
Conversation, can't wait to help. But you need a haircut, you know where to go. Lady Jane's Haircut. When you walk in, you sit down, you relax, and let one of the talented stylists make you look and feel great. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week, walking anytime. Wicked awesome.
The Great American Chevy Week is back and bigger than ever at Feldman Chevrolet. Choose from the largest inventory of award-winning Chevys, all priced to move for the biggest week of the year. Get this 2024 Silverado for only $213 a month, or this 2024 Equinox for as low as $249 a month. Feldman takes the Great American Chevy Week to another level. Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
It's #1 Chevy dealer since 1996. Feldman Automotive has provided a fast, convenient, and first-class car buying experience called the Feldman Advantage. With 18 locations, there's a Feldman dealership in your backyard. Visit feldmanauto.com to find a location nearest you, and you can catch Woodward Sports Network from Feldman Chevrolet of Novi next Wednesday. Big D Energy and the Woo Crew will be there next Wednesday at Feldman Chevrolet of Novi. It's Feldman, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
This is such a weird year for reasons that I just brought up. I mean, number one, you don't feel like a complete homer slapdick if you say, yeah, I think the Lions are the best team in the NFC. Now, I'm not ready to take that next step and say, yeah, we're going to win a Super Bowl. I'm sorry. I mean, if you guys are, go right ahead. I'm not there yet because I know that there's air in the lungs of a guy by the name of Patrick Mahomes. And as long as there's air in the lungs of a guy by the name of Patrick Mahomes, I might have to put that team in the forefront in regards to going and winning a Super Bowl. But we got that dynamic going on where we know this team is damn good, okay?
No.
And in years gone by, okay, we have had to say, when we talk about concerns with this football team, depth has always been a concern with this franchise. Always. It isn't now. Certain positional groups. I think Joey Harrington's the guy. I think you're out of your mind. We would have conversations like that. If we're being honest, and you guys can chime in. If I'm missing something, if I'm glossing over something, yell at me, okay? To the guys in the room, Mac, I don't look at any position right now and go, oh, dude, I don't know. I mean, as I said, if I wanted to be nitpicky, I wish I felt better about the ends on this team. But do I feel bad? No, I don't. That would be my one area. If I wanted to be nitpicky, I need to be worrywart guy. Yeah, I wish the end situation was different. Is there a position for you guys that you're going, I don't know, there's some questions marked there. Is there one for you, Mac?
Yeah, I think like everybody else, if you're going down, it's the depth at the wide receiver or whatever to somebody going down. But when you're asking these questions, I'm going through my mind going, what position group would I give the lowest grade to on this team? And I'm trying to think to say, where you're sort of worried about. Now, obviously, we've improved in our defensive back and our secondary and stuff, but we still need to see it. They still
100%.
need to come together. So is it the linebacker core with the you think Jack Campbell's going to step up? Do we have to see it? How's everybody going to come together? So, but I mean, what is the worst grade that you give which position group? So for me, I guess if I'm going to go out on a limb, it wouldn't even be wide receiver because of the durability sort of at the top. It might be linebackers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Are we gonna improve our lateral, our sideline to sideline, and be able to be that integral part to make the secondary better, to help the defensive line and stuff. So if you're, but I'm splitting hairs right now.
Okay.
There's two positions that I worry about. One being defensive end, opposite of Hutch. A lot of question marks there. Now, I do feel like they will be, as a unit, better than what they had last year. But you look at Josh Paschal, James Houston coming back from injury as well, and then Marcus Davenport, who is a player with a injury history. So, but all three of those guys together should be able to at least be way better than what they had last year with the Okora brothers and whoever else they had subbing in. Also worry about depth at offensive tackle, because if Taylor Decker were to go down or Panay were to go down, I'm not sure who steps into that role at that point. But those would be the only two real question marks. And even, at defensive end, they're still kind of fine at that position. But tackle depth definitely is something I worry about.
I guess I'm going back about 12 years. Like, we knew what we had in Ndamukong, but when true beast mode was like unleashed with Ndamukong Suh, and he's another one of those guys. If you're a stat chaser, what Ndamukong Suh's stats look like and what reality of his impact was, my arms can't reach that far. They can't reach that far. But when Cliff Averill was able to take some of that pressure, to take those triple teams off of Ndamukong Suh, you saw what a true disruptor Ndamukong Suh could be, because you had to account for Uncle Cliffy coming and making some damage. Justin, is there one for you? Justin, you're kind of, am I being a slappy? Am I like, seriously? And you guys in the chat, if I'm too high on these guys or Mac's too high on these guys, because I'm not looking at any group saying, wow, I don't know about this group.
I'm high on the cornerback room, but there is pause for concern with the Emmanuel Mosley injury, because he is a proven commodity in terms of an NFL cornerback.
Corn pack, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's pretty brutal. I mean, Carlton Davis is coming off not playing a full season, so there's got to be some type of injury concern there. I mean, you're betting on a rookie parlay with Terran Arnold and Dennis Rakestraw, which I do have faith in and I do believe in, but at the end of the day, it is a rookie parlay. I think that there's not necessarily that many proven commodities in this secondary over a long-term scale, where it is cause for a little bit of concern, even though it 100% is better than last year.
Yeah. Spenny, is there something for you jumps out to you?
I would go, with what KG said, that other edge rusher opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. I think that's the biggest concern for me. We talked about it a little bit yesterday with Davenport and Houston. If they can combine for one good player all season, then I think that's a win. Other than that, man, there's not many kicker, maybe like kicker is something.
All jokes aside, really, that might be my one now that I think about it.
I mean, we saw Bates struggling a little bit. Obviously, he's still got a long camp to go through, but there's not a lot of holes on this team anymore. There's a reason they were in the NFC Championship game last year. There's a reason they're a Super Bowl favorite. Like, there's not a lot of holes you can really nitpick.
Isn't it amazing? I mean, again, for longtime Lion fans, this is world turned upside down.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many years I'd say, well, I like this, but there's that, and that, Mac, that we have to worry about. And God forbid an injury happens, because the whole thing will just fall apart. And I always go back to this, and I'm going to play the grizzled veteran of the group right now, although you had a front row seat for it too. I always go back to what people say about 1992. Hey, wait, whoa. Hold back the reins. You remember what happened, Mac? They went to the NFC Championship. Everybody thought that 92 was the year, and then it all fell apart, and they went 5-11. Well, there's more to it than that.
No.
You had two pieces of your offensive line suffer incredible tragedies.
Yeah.
One was paralyzed. The other one
Mike Outley
died while he was mowing his lawn, for
crazy
sake. Now, I don't care who you are, and especially look at this offensive line now. Take two guys off this offensive line right now. Well, you're damn right I'm going to be worried. So I don't know if that's a fair comparison. That's why, Mac, I know that there are people out there, I've seen this before, I've seen that before. All I can do is tell you, based on what is right now, this is the deepest, most talented Lion team I've ever seen.
Here's my biggest concern, right? And it's honestly, you're saying that is injury.
Yep.
It's not talent. It's not addressed. We sat here at the end of the season, and you looked at 3 different position spots on your team that needed to be fixed because there's a glaring void that you had to improve it on, and we're an NFC Championship game team. Yeah. You've improved on that. You bring up a great point. Injuries. And I don't know if this is insensitive or anything like that, but I always had Emmanuel Mosley as a caveat piece.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because and
it's
I know what he
to
did
do.
5 years ago,
right?
But I also know in the last 3 years he's been hurt every year. So it was like, can he? And I prayed for him, and I hoped he would get beyond it. But losing him, I sort of was going into it like we didn't have him to begin with.
Yeah.
So and some of the other guys to step up. To me, it's injuries. You could afford to lose him. You could afford to lose some other guys. But what you said, you cannot afford to lose anybody on that offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, even being more granular, the offensive line and Goff, and he's included, those 6 guys, right?
Yeah.
Are the integral part for me.
Can I have another edition of Chris Spielman might be the toughest human being I've ever known?
Absolutely.
Okay, so Mosley has a torn pec.
Yep.
Like, no disrespect to him.
It's
where
him or Steve Eisman.
Okay.
With his knee.
That's still insane. And it doesn't get enough credit.
Really,
it's insane.
It is. So those 2 guys.
I was in the locker room that day, and it was Mike O'Hara that kind of pointed it out. Spielman's talking to us. He's holding court, and I prepped. Do you ever see the movie Alien? You know Alien, right?
Yeah.
Where that alien comes popping out of the chest. He had the frickin' alien in his pec.
Oh my God.
It's rolled up. There's this alien ready to protrude out of his chest, and everybody's looking at it. But because it's Chris Spielman, I'm not going to be the guy to say it. No. What the hell's wrong with your chest? I like my teeth where they are. Thank you.
Right.
So Mike O'Hara, literally kind of just nonchalantly goes, Chris, what's up with your chest? I mean, the alien's ready to pop out,
Jesus.
right? And Chris just gets that snarl, that Spielman look, takes his towel from the other side of his shoulder, puts it over the torn pec and goes, nothing. Yes, Mr. Spielman, there's nothing there. I didn't see a damn thing. That maniac, and Mr. Spielman, I say that with full respect, that maniac played 3/4 of a season.
Oh my
linebacker.
God.
Ferociously. With a torn pec that was rolled up from this side to that side.
Oh, that's crazy.
Like, what's wrong with you? I say that with respect, Mr. Spielman, to this day. Mr. Spielman. But that goes to show you, those dudes, and you can talk to Steve. You had a front row seat. I remember asking him point blank. We had him on. It was during the Blues series. And Steve, how's the knee? It's fine. Yes, Mr. Eiserman. Really? I mean, they don't want to talk about it. It just is. You play through it. I mean, that's toughness. That's warriors, and that's why they're held.
It's
on
warriors.
You know, they talk about it. They got that dog in them. They got that dog in them. And, you know, if you got your dog at home, you might want to get them something from Premier Pet Supply, because Premier Pet Supply is hands down Michigan's best pet store. Same prices and all the conveniences that online and big box retailers, with one major difference: they're family and locally owned and operated for over 30 years. 60 brands of food and nutrition experts to help you. Same day local curbside home delivery. Premier Pet Supply. Give your pet the best. www.premierpetsupply.com.
At Planet Fitness, you can get everything you need for just $1 down. Try out Planet Fitness and dang, they got lots of equipment.
Not me getting a Planet Fitness membership just for the 24-hour perk.
Hey, y'all better get on these free fitness training sessions from Planet Fitness.
Did y'all know that the PF app has workouts you can do at home? Cheapest therapy I can find is Planet Fitness.
Join Planet Fitness today and get everything you need for just $1 down. $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends Thursday, July 18th.
The Ally Challenge presented by McLaren is back August 22nd through 25th at Warwick Hills and Grand Blanc. Be there for PGA Tour Champions Golf, Family Night, concerts, and more. Tickets start at just $15. Get yours at allychallenge.com today.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
Shop.woodwardsports.com, the best merch in the game. We got the Boo Them Kids, Stoke Not Scared, Meat Missile, anything you need to get ready for Lion season, you can get it at shop.woodwardsports.com. Make sure you go there. They make great gifts. Anything you need, shop.woodwardsports.com.
So I got to ask you guys, because Spenny brought up on our, here, listen, I don't know if you guys, can I let people in?
Absolutely.
Spenny puts these lists up, kind of show it. See that? You can't see it. It's almost like I'm white balancing. You people in business know what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, Spenny is kind enough to do like a show plan thing. And we kind of follow it as a roadmap. Sometimes, like roadmaps, you decide you're going to go off into a different direction and, you want to see the world's largest toilet and things like that. But I digress. He wrote on here, J-Mo continues to shine, has 2 touchdowns. Can we have a J-Mo conversation?
Absolutely.
And an honest J-Mo conversation?
There's no J-Mo haters in here today.
I think there are a lot of J-Mo haters out there. Do you know any J-Mo haters?
Yeah, one particular works here.
Really? Who is it? I didn't even know.
Oh, well, one by the name of Flannel Sam, of course.
He just hates life. He hates puppy dogs. He hates, But, okay, here's my thing with J-Mo. A lot of the issues that people have with J-Mo aren't necessarily J-Mo related issues. They're things about J-Mo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? He can't control where he was taken in the draft, okay?
What does it matter now? What is all that bullshit or whatever down to whatever you hate about? What does it matter? You got the eyeball test, and I know it's training camp and stuff like this, and then you can listen to guys that you respect and his coach and his position coach and his fellow players to tell you that what you're seeing is the real deal. Does anybody else just not listen to the players that are on the field with him going, holy shit, bro? It's coming to the compete level and stuff like this. So I can't help you at all. If you don't understand when you see talent and work ethic and going in and doing it the right way. Yes, the questions about immaturity and that 2 years ago when he was drafted, when he was hurt, into whatever else, leave it there. But you cannot deny what you're seeing right now. And yes, wait for it. But you know what? You're better off when admitting you're wrong and getting ahead of it and saying, okay, you know what? I'd like to see the stats. But also, too, his stats aren't going to prove his value to this team, right? It's what the intangibles he did, right? What do we always talk about? Who's the best player in the biggest game last year that didn't, unfortunately didn't come to fruition? Him. Yep. Mm-hmm. Who's downfield throwing blocks? Who's like, I don't get it. If you're not in, then you're just going to have to eat it the whole rest of the way.
So I had a very logical conversation, which Lord knows in today's society, you don't have too many logical conversations anymore, okay? A guy that, mutual friend of Max and I, Brandon Blake. And it was funny because every point that he brought up about J-Mo had nothing to do with J-Mo. And I pointed it out to him afterwards. Some of the things.
Can you give us the examples?
Well, I'm going to give you an example right now. He said, I go crazy when I see all these people saying things like 12 touchdowns, 1,500 yards. And I said, is that Jameson Williams' fault? Is that his fault? That maybe people are saying that he's going to be something that he might not be? And my point to that is, I said, he doesn't have to be that with the Detroit Lions. Mm-hmm. He does. That's the beautiful thing about this. He doesn't have to go out there and play the role of Randy Moss and have 17 touchdowns and 1,500 yards. He is but a piece in a pretty damn good puzzle. The one thing that he can do differently than anybody else is that game-breaking moment. You put the ball in his hand. I don't care if you pitch it to him. I don't care if you do an end around. I don't care if you do a bubble screen. Put the ball in his hands. Make sure he gets more than 3 or 4 touches because he's got game-breaking ability that, quite frankly, not a lot of other guys in the league have. So it's your fault. That's 100% your fault. If you're sitting there right now going, I can't believe people are talking this guy up. This isn't a number one receiver. This isn't a guy that's going to have 1,600 yards. He doesn't have to with the Lions. And it's kind of funny because, like, when you put it that way, it's like you see the light bulb start to flicker. No, they can't admit that. You know that. That's
knock
part and
myself
parcel
out
with,
of this.
That's part and parcel
stupid.
with what today is. But I guess you're right. You know what? I would love if he could take some pressure off of Sam Laporta, because you know what that would do? Open up the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I would love it if he could take some pressure off of Khalif Raymond or Amon-Ra St. Brown, because you know what that would do? Allow them to get some things. And yes, mix in that game-breaking speed. There's some slander being thrown the guy's way. I get it. Has he done it yet? No. But my goodness gracious, hasn't he showed you enough?
Hasn't he shown you flashes of it in the biggest game in the NFC Championship against the team that you got to take down in San Francisco? Is supposed to have the greatest defense and whatever. Jameson Williams, if you're going to see him, it's what he brings. I just think about, imagine being a defensive coordinator, and you got to prepare, so it's how teams prepare for him, and it's even not what he does. It's how he throws off the other team in preparing for him. That's going to make Amon-Ra a little bit more wide open, or Sam Laporta, or the running game, or Gibbs out of the backfield, whatever like this. It's how it's used. And then, God forbid, here he comes down the middle throwing a block that springs somebody, because that's what he does a little bit different. He's got the speed, but he'll play the physicality. That's what I love. So if he stays healthy, now what you're seeing in front of your eyes is just him getting confidence. And to me, what is your team saying? What are your guys saying?
Yeah.
Because they ain't out here bullshitting, throwing smoke and mirrors. They don't need to. They just need to call it the way it is.
Yep. That's what drives me nuts to me. Okay, I get it. I could sit back and say, yeah, he hasn't done a full season yet. Yeah, he hasn't proven it every day yet. But to me, it'd be one thing if we didn't see those, and I'm not even using the term brief glimpses. They were giant glimpses on the biggest stage. And I want to be crystal clear. My default, go back to hockey. If you haven't seen enough out of Lucas Raymond to think, ooh, there might be a pretty good ceiling there, I can't help you. I'm just going to give it up. That doesn't mean that it's always going to turn out that way. Let me go the opposite direction. Spencer Torkelson. Man, oh, wow. When it clicked for Torque last year, there's another bomb, there's another bomb, there's another bomb. You know what? Unfortunately, he wasn't able to continue that, and he's still trying to find himself. But I'm going to appeal to the common sense side. I know that's dangerous. If you haven't seen enough to make you excited about what has been, but most importantly, what might be, I can't help you. Because it's there. It's on tape. Now, if you want to fall back and say, oh, he's never going to be a number one wide receiver, I agree with you. I do. I don't have any problem with that. He doesn't have to be. Isn't that the beauty of the Lions offense? Like, I use the crack all the time. It's like the old Burger King tag, right? Have it your way. Well, I'm going to make it exactly. What would you like? How do you want us to hurt you today? That's a pretty good aspect to have with the Detroit Lions offense right now.
They ended practice early.
Oh, God.
To avoid any more scrums.
Oh,
really?
It's getting nasty.
Yeah, the joint practice is over for today.
Well, the Giants just became a rival. But
after the kickoff return period dissolved into scrums after every rep.
So that's maturity, too.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, so that they can't get along, then take them, you know what I mean? The kids can't play nice.
They get timeouts.
I mean, I've had that. We've had hockey practices like that before we get pulled off with other teams.
They all got timeouts.
Yeah. It was too many timeouts.
Whatever. But they did it as a team.
The timeout is okay as long as they have this. But let me tell you something.
And hold on. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Because it's flannel. There's no victory lap. It's not a victory. There's no victory lap to anything else other than you didn't think, right? Is Jameson, what I was saying, Jameson, with your analogy, is more Lucas Raymond, and he still has to prove, he hasn't proven it like Lucas, than he is Spencer Torkelson.
100%.
So that's all it is. So either get on board, go. The thing I don't respect of anything, right, is when people just don't want to move on, and with new information, it's whatever else. Now, is it trending towards that you could be wrong, then go that way?
Yeah.
Like, what are we seeing? What are we hearing? And it's not a competition about I'm right, you're wrong. No. I mean, if you're going to say with new information, I'm allowed to change my opinion, you brought it up, Sam. That's your tagline. So at least, you get more respect if you said, okay, I can see him trending to where you guys will go, but I'm still not a fan. Because if you're not a fan, now, to me, was always the work ethic. Was he committed to whatever?
Right.
Dan Campbell said he adhered to the herd. The herd brought him in. Now you're seeing him work his fucking sack off, probably on the back shoulder of Amon-Ra St. Brown. What else do you want?
And if he goes Spencer Torkelson, you aren't being correct unless you acknowledge he went Spencer Torkelson. It's really, really simple. Like I've said this.
If you say, oh, he's, you know what, all this is smoke and mirrors and he's going to Torkelson this season and he's not going to do whatever. That's your opinion. And when it doesn't happen,
own it.
Oh, that's all it is. Move on. Own it. Spenny's the greatest example with Goff.
Yeah.
I'm proud because, and had to come to it. Like a lot of guys where they come, but like what? I don't know. It's not because it's ridiculous and it's almost like you got to move on because the team's moving on. We're more mature than this.
I say this all the time.
These are arguments we have 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago when we suck. We don't suck.
You know what? You know what's amazing? Like the Detroit Red Wings are chokes. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
And those guys know better than anybody. They had to own that. They had to own 93 and losing the Leafs. They had to own 94 and Jamie Baker. They had to own, like, in my mind, the quickest, most Stanley Cup that I ever remember. Like,
that was a 2-game final.
It really was. Like,
Four games.
What happened?
Right.
This series is over. What the happened, right? And then, you know what you have to do? It's crazy. When they won a Stanley Cup, and then you're never going to guess what happened.
And you persevered.
They won another one.
Wow.
And then, hold on. Then they won one 4 years after that. Wow. So you go for being the poster child of choke to literally.
You won 3 in 6 years.
Right. The team of that era. With a nice, respectful tap to the New Jersey Devils and a respectful tap to the Colorado Avalanche, it was the Detroit Red Wings. And then guess what? When everybody said they couldn't do it again, salary cap's going to get them, you're never going to believe what happened. They did it again in 2008. So that's how you change narratives, right? And so to that point, to Flannel or anybody else out there, okay, if he Torkelsons, if he's not the impact that all of us are saying he could be based on factual evidence of how last season finished, well, then you can point the finger at me. And you can point the finger at Mac and say, hey, assholes, what now? Hey, you were right. He didn't have the impact I thought. It's not, my skin didn't melt admitting I was wrong.
Right.
Like it didn't. It's just, nothing's getting, it's not like Wizard of Oz and they're going to throw the water on me. I'm melting. Hey, I was wrong. It's not the first time. It won't be the last time either.
Just a fan. I believe J-Mo will be great in 2024, but let's wait until the end of the season before we say Flannel was wrong. Then make him wear a hot dog suit.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Absolutely. All right, he is Darren McCarty. I'm Sean Beliege, and the gang's all here. Hour 2 of Big D Energy coming up here on Woodward.
But first, let me tell you about Planet Fitness. I got shoulders today, and I wouldn't do them anywhere else other than Planet Fitness because it's the home of the judgment-free zone. You can work out in a completely judgment-free atmosphere with a friendly, knowledgeable staff, and you can upgrade to the Black Card to get use of all the amenities like hydro massage, total body enhancement, all that good stuff for a low price. It is Planet Fitness, Darren McCarty.
Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential.
So just to get the heated steering wheel, I also had to spring for the bigger rims.
Yeah, that's how they get you. Those upgrades will cost you an arm and a leg every time.
Hey, new card crew, how'd it go this weekend? I got a great deal on mine.
How?
I went to Randy Wise, not those other guys. They got me in a great new ride, and they didn't break my budget. Hey, could you pass me the sugar? Oh. Never mind.
He made the wise choice.
Yep.
Make the wise choice at randywisechevy.com.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full-line merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed-out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today. A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports. Congratulations to the real Coach of the Year, Motor City Dan Campbell.
Just put your head down and go to work. It's about to be fun, man. It's about to be fun.
Woodward Sports.
How would you like to $10 free products from Dispo Dispensary? Screenshot this image with the QR code and bring it in any Dispo location, and you'll get a free $10 to spend in-store with a minimum purchase of $25. Visit Dispo Dispensary today or disposhops.com. Dispo Dispensary, your local cannabis plug.
Our number 2, Big D Energy, Darren McCarty, Sean Belegian, gang is all here. I like when you come up with questions like this. Can we get to your question, Spenny? I like when you come up with questions. It's fun to talk about.
Yeah.
And listen, I know that J-Mo, for whatever reason, is a powder keg. Like, I know there are people sitting there right now, watching this, watching Darren, watching me. The one thing that I do not think Jameson Williams will ever live up to, and I'm serious, is his draft position. I get it. If you're one of those people, you're draft value. I don't think he's ever going to live up to that. I don't, because I think what you're asking him to be on this football team would come at the detriment of this football team. So that doesn't make any sense to me, but I think this goes back to our wide receiver conversation yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Mac, in my mind, I think there's a top tier. I think there are two guys that you could say are head and shoulders, maybe not head and shoulders, but if you want to use the E word, elite in the National Football League today. There's Justin Jefferson and there's Tyreek Hill. And then there's a group underneath that, and I personally think Amon-Ra St. Brown is in that group. But if you're one of those guys that sits back and says, you have to be this if you're drafted there, I don't think you're ever going to be pleasured by Jameson Williams.
You guys are missing the point. He's a game changer.
Yep.
You need those to win, to be a Super Bowl caliber team, to be able to spark you like he did in the NFC Championship against the best team in the NFC, who you're going to have to probably go through to win. His draft, it's a caveat piece. It's never looked at stats-wise. It's looked at team-wise. Can this guy that you picked 12th overall and moved up be a difference in winning you a Super Bowl? 100 million %.
Yep.
100 million %. He brings this something, which is speed. You mentioned it in hockey where it's a killer, plus whatever else he's done. And we haven't seen him in full ensemble display. That's the one thing I'm excited about, is that training camp healthy, getting in the reps healthy. Now we can seriously implement what Ben Johnson wants to do with him. We saw caveats of that, but he's like a game changer. Who's the other guy in the league that you see like this in a Tyreek Hill? Now he's a different player than that, but the speed is unmatched. And what do we hear? We see him catching balls 5 yards away from a defender. Mm-hmm. How many times do you don't see that in the NFL as much? So I just think he's a caveat. I don't care if his stats, if it's whatever it is to his position that he's picked. That guy picked at that position is a game changer to win you a Super Bowl, period.
You don't have teammates sell guys like that. You don't. And the fact that his teammates are selling him, and again, I don't know if you know this, I'm sitting next to a former professional athlete. Tell me about this Pavel Datsyuk guy, right? That was a reaction from everybody. People don't know, man. You're all going to find out. You don't write checks like that unless the boys really feel it.
Oh, I was just going to say, I got a better angle of the Kirby Joseph, Terrion Arnold, or Kirby Joseph, Malik Neighbors scuffle.
Let's see it.
This is
So
great.
it started with a Terrion Arnold breakup, walking back.
Yeah!
Neighbors pops him in the face. Kirby big pieces him up a couple times. And then look at number 0 right there in the middle.
Terrion.
The rookie. He's trying to break it up. He's trying to pull the guys off of each other. But yeah,
Love to see it,
we
man.
see...
Replay that.
Yeah,
just replay that.
Look at Malik Neighbor.
What the fuck do you think's gonna happen when you do something like that?
Got it.
There's one.
Wait,
Boom.
there's for
There's
you.
2.
Like honestly,
There's 3.
He looking like D-Mac out there. Feast his ass.
Kirby
man.
gone with at least 3.
Yes.
And then you got the rookie trying to pull people apart.
Love it, man.
All together.
Yeah, what do you think's gonna happen? Mac, you brought up a great point. You know what? For years, guys like me, when I did draft shows, for years, guys like me lost our collective minds when the Lions made are you ready? This is a blast from the past, luxury pick. The Detroit Lions are a franchise that is not in a position to take a luxury pick. Not when we have needs here, needs here, needs here, needs here. You know what? Jamison Williams was a luxury pick. And a damn explosive luxury pick. And this is the dynamic that I'm going with. Like, again, nobody in this town has the credit line that Brad Holmes has right now, including Steve. Nobody has that credit line right now.
Yeah.
Okay? If this guy, who we all know, wasn't looking at the next year, but looking beyond the next year, playing chess, looking 2 or 3 years from now, like Steve Yzerman is, his flowers are coming. You know that. But if this guy, who we all trust, anybody out there want to say, get in line and say, I don't trust Brad Holmes? Didn't think so. But if this guy can look ahead 2-3 years, as he did from the second he made the Matthew Stafford deal, if he can look 2 or 3 years ahead and think about what this guy might be, doesn't that count for something? Right? I mean, it's got to count for something. My goodness gracious. So there's nothing with this team. If we just got done out of one side of our mouth saying, boy, this team doesn't have many weaknesses, right?
Yeah.
We all went around the room. We all admitted maybe we're nitpicking a little bit, but they don't have any weaknesses. But then is a luxury pick and an explosive one at that, is that a bad thing? So I get it. Some of you are never going to be satisfied because I'm convinced, if I'm wrong, I'll admit it, I'm convinced he's never going to be that guy. He's never going to be 1,500, 15 touchdowns. I couldn't care less. You know what? I want him to bring that explosive nature to the field. Period. And that's where where we're at right now. So, I don't know. There are going to be people out there, Flannel, I don't want to put words in your mouth. If J-Mo is exactly what we think he's going to be. You brought up, Kay.
Yeah.
What would you, 800 yards?
Yeah, 800, maybe 7-8 touchdowns. That's a great season from J-Mo.
You know what? You know as well as I do, people aren't going to confess.
Nah.
Oh, is that what I was supposed to get excited about? Is this what it was? I mean, so I know some of you are never going to be that way, but you give me 800 yards, Benny.
Yeah.
You give me that explosive change of pace that only a guy like that can bring. I'm with Kate, man. I'll take that all day.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. He's a guy, I mean, last year he only had 3 touchdowns, 354 yards, but we know the reasons why. Of course, the 4-game suspension at the beginning of the year, but they used him as more of the 3rd or 4th option in this offense, and we all said if you give the guy more targets, you see what he can do. And as the season went along, you started seeing more that he was more than just a deep threat. He has a full route tree, and in the NFC Championship game, he was the biggest factor on that Lions offense, man. So the thing I fall out with Flannel about is the no training camp victory laps. What's understood doesn't need to be said. I say that a lot. If we all know, like, if he doesn't live up to that, then of course we were all wrong. We can all admit we're wrong. There's no problem with that. But what you see from this guy this year, he looks like a completely different player. And I know it's just training camp, and I know we've only seen short videos and short clips, but to D-Mac's point, the team is backing him up. Dan Campbell is the same coach that came out there and criticized J-Mo when he wasn't doing his best, when he wasn't giving forth the most effort.
Yeah.
If it's coming from everybody,
hit him with that one again.
Thank you. If it's coming from the same man that criticized him when J-Mo was at his lowest, and he's coming out and telling you that he is a completely changed player, you have to believe that. That's just me, though. I can't do that with everybody. You can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink.
There's a meme for you, Jesus.
Yep.
Was that on video?
We can get the multicoders.
Yeah, right. It was on wax.
Okay, because let me tell you, I immediately assumed the position in Turtle.
Yeah, right.
When Max started playing I immediately assumed the position and just went like this. I thought a flailing of uppercuts were coming my way.
Amen, Kenny.
I got you.
Thank you, bro.
Yes.
Like that's the point. Forget all your premonitions or whatever you thought it was.
Yeah.
Now, I get it to all you stats guys.
Right.
But is Jameson Williams not the eyeball test of how he's used or whatever? I don't care if he gets, like Sean said, 3 touches, 4 touches. He's going to make something happen.
Mm-hmm.
How do I know that? I don't know. Let's just go back to the biggest game. I don't know, NFC Championship game. Who was the best player on your team that made shit happen that...
Yeah.
Do you
I know, D-Mac.
And I motivated him. And Kenny, the number one thing, right? Like, that's why if you're all in, like for anybody, so you better question Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
All you guys that are questioning is because then you have questions for Dan Campbell that his transparency, that he's not it. Because if you listen, and that's the whole thing, that's what brings me, oh, guys, holy shit. You hear the same guy who criticized him, whatever, and then said, look, he's adhered himself to the herd.
Yeah.
You listen to not the same player. Full camp, the things that we're seeing are right now, it has to transpire. But I believe he's already tested himself at the biggest game in the NFC Championship where he came out.
Yes.
That's just his coming out party.
Yep.
Right. And it would, I feel you. And
the Dan Campbell thing is argument number one.
Yes.
Argument number
both of
one.
them, Holmes and Campbell.
Yeah.
Both of them.
And
if you want to get in that line, you be my guest, man. I'll watch that.
And to me, I would just be more concerned if at the beginning we heard, oh, he's not putting in the work, or, it was a work ethic issue, but it hasn't been that with J-Mo. Even when he wasn't catching passes, he was out there blocking. Even when Dan Campbell came out and spoke negatively about him, it was more so about J-Mo's hands. It wasn't about him going out there and not putting the work in or not trying to be a better player. It was just, hey, he's not catching the ball right now. I don't know if he'll ever be that full-on receiver type guy. Never has been a question from the staff or coaching or teammates about his work ethic.
So here's the thing. Okay, hey, Mike G, right? Where you hear Mike G, hey, man, J-Mo is a brag guy. Listen carefully when Dan speaks. J-Mo is a brag guy, not necessarily a Dan guy. Really? So when Dan Campbell says that he is his guy, are you in then? Is that what you're waiting to hear? Because I will get fucking Broder to propose him the question. Right? And if you see that, it doesn't matter. Get in your boat with flannel, just like everything else. Do your thing.
Yeah.
And then when it comes around and you're getting ready to get your Jameson, you're not allowed. You're not allowed. I don't know why. Why are you going to pick this hill to die on, you guys?
Yeah.
This isn't the hill to die on. Stick with your Goff to die on.
I know we're late, Spenny. Let me get one more point out there because, again, here comes the Bleach in default mode. Mac, this is like saying, man, I looked at Brett Hull when he came to the 01-02 Wings. I looked at Luke Robitaille when he came to the 01-02 Wings. Boy, what a disappointment both those guys were. I mean, Brett Hull's a perennial 60-goal scorer. Popped 86 just a few years before that. Look at his numbers. Look what Luke Robitaille did in L.A. All those 100-point seasons. What a disappointment when he came to Detroit. He didn't have to be that. He fit in as part of a puzzle. He didn't have to. Hey, listen, newsflash. I saw with my own 2 eyes Steve Yzerman put up a 155-point season. With my own 2 eyes. Phenomenal. Every night I was watching crazy things happening. And no disrespect to Spuddy, but he's playing with Gerard Gallant, for goodness sake. put up $155. Guess what? He didn't have to do that when we got to a point. And that was the maturation of Steve Yzerman to becoming the great Hall of Fame player that he was. Why be something you don't have to be? And that's what depth will do for you. Spenny, I'm sorry. I know we're late. We'll get to Spenny's question next here on Big D Energy.
Tell us about Guardian Alarm, D-Man.
Absolutely. Let Guardian Alarm offer you customized solutions from real experts, professional technicians who take the time to recommend security and automated solutions specific to your needs. All Guardian wants you to do is call the number 1-800-STAY-OUT. 24/7 professional monitoring. Call us anytime, day or night. Know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as it's needed. Call the number 1-800-STAY-OUT. Technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserves technology that's proven to work, and people have been proven to care. Business, pleasure. Guardian don't care. Call them today, 1-800-STAY-OUT.
Stay out of making Kirby Joseph leave the field with security, New York Giants people. It's ridiculous.
That is crazy, man. Stay out of the J-Mo hate and just wish the man well.
Guardian Alarm, local security.
Railing up with your Premier Pet Supply, man. Just looking around. Who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda? A chef for Lola, really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supply has everything that your pet can dream of, and guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out premierpetsupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody!
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
What happens when you run a great business for over 50 years? You expand and offer more products to more people. This is exactly what Les Stanford did by adding Les Stanford Buick GMC. Same great service that customers have come to know and trust. On Woodward Ave, just south of 9 Mile. Check out Les Stanford in Dearborn today at lesstanford.com. Les Stanford Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Are you guys familiar with the work of One Easy and Woodward Heavyweights? Spenny, I think you're familiar with both.
I've heard of them.
5 to 7
Kyle
every day.
Meinke sent out a tweet. Kirby Joseph left the field with security and declined to comment after practice. And
we don't need to talk about piecing a guy up like that.
No,
you know?
hell no.
Right, left,
The
right,
hands
left.
spoke for him.
Easy posted that picture of Tupac wearing the Red Wings jersey. Just all defiant, just putting phlegm all over somebody. That's he was like Kirby Joseph leaving Giants-Lions joint practice. That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's absolutely perfect. Good for you. Make sure you check out the heavyweights, by the way, each and every day. All right, Spenny, I like how you come up with these questions. It's fun to talk about. Look, we're all dying for football. I know we get some fake football in a couple days, but we're in the mode, especially like weather like this today. I brought it up earlier. Man, when I woke up, walked outside, took the dogs out, had my morning dip, I'm going, that's pig in the air. Look at that. Isn't that great? Look at that. Yep.
Oh, my God.
Coming out of court, wasn't he?
Yep. That's about it. But, Spenny, you had what's a more likely scenario question that you wanted to pose to everybody.
I did. Looking at the first depth chart, and now there is some new, kind of angles to this with the Emmanuel Mosley injury. But my what is more likely scenario, and that's Ennis Rakeshaw cracking the starting lineup or Darius Fountain making the team out of camp.
Ooh.
It's a good question.
That's That's the apples and oranges almost.
I feel like both could happen, really. I mean, Anise, he's the most likely to step up in the absence of E-Man in the secondary. And then Dorrance Fountain has been killing it in camp, man. And it's to the point where DPJ might not even make the team now. Like, he looks like he's suited for either that number 3 or number 4 position on the team. I think both can happen, honestly.
I'm going to strictly say Ragshaw with new information, Mosley gone. I
Yeah.
think that's why you don't, next man up, but they have depth.
Isn't it beautiful?
So, but to your point, Kenny, I would not be surprised if they both cracked the roster.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to try to follow the rules as well, and I'm also going to give you the tip of the cap. I honestly think both, but if you put a gun to my head, I'm going to go Ennis.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Just because now knowing what we know now.
Yeah.
But look, I think both are going to happen. You got a feel on that, Spenny?
Yeah, I honestly think it's Fountain making the team. I think that they like Amik Robertson a lot in that nickel spot. Ennis has been definitely going hard and is deserving the looks. I don't know if they're willing to put 2 rookies out there in that secondary. And Fountain has been one of Goff's favorite targets all camp. He has been consistently beating people deep for touchdowns. He has been consistently winning battles in one-on-one jump balls and contested catches. I think he could be your wide receiver 3 when you look at it. Obviously, you got Khalif Raymond in there as well, but as the backup X jump ball guy, you don't really have that on this team.
Yeah.
And that's what Fountain could be for them.
I mean, I got to stick to my guns here. Ennis Rakeshaw's my boy. I got nothing but belief in that man.
Leader of the fan club.
So, Ennis Rakeshaw to crack that starting lineup, especially with Emmanuel Mosley going out, I think that only makes his chances greater. So, I like Ennis Rakeshaw.
These are all wonderful problems to have, aren't they?
I'm trying to tell you.
it is again, for those of us that have lived through this for so many years, and that's not disrespecting what your generation is. I always use my son as an example, okay? My son has seen nothing but crap in his life. Nothing but crap, okay? At least for guys like us, Mac, we got to experience 83. We got to experience 91 and 93 and 94 and 95. Like, the younger generation out there, they've seen nothing but crap. So, like, I'm not playing you kids haven't seen anything, because the reality is they hadn't really seen anything, okay? The playoff games that the younger generation saw, let's think about this. You saw them get crushed by the Saints. You saw the unbelievable just rip-off job down in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw one of the most boring playoff games I've ever seen in my life when they lost to the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's all those kids saw. So I think while our generation, Matt, goes, poor us, you guys haven't seen anything, okay? Well, now you have. But this is still a change for all of us in regards that I don't care who you are. We sit back and go, holy crap, there's so much depth with this team. There is so much to like about this team. And if this doesn't happen, that's okay, because that will happen.
Yeah.
And we can have these scenario questions. And it's pretty cool to feel good in the fact that, okay, if both happen, boy, what a wonderful problem that is, too.
You know why I'm confident in what Dan Campbell tells me? It's coming out of training camp where I listen to him. It's because things that he said 3 years ago are come to fruition. Like, I have to prepare like every starter will go down. What you're saying right there is between him and Brad Holmes putting this roster together, they have a next man up mentality. You don't want to see guys like Kaminsky go down or even Mosley, whatever else. But is that going to stop you from where you're headed? No, not at all. Next man up to different things is going to give guys a different opportunity. And I think that that's from what you hear at a training camp. You're hearing different names that you haven't heard before because they are stepping up to be part of this team who, like you said before, we expect Super Bowl.
Yep.
And that's different. And for all the kids out there or whatever like that, I mean, I know that's a jump, but like you talk about their Lions fandom. Look at a kid if you're like 20 years old. What have you had to cheer about in the last 15 years in any sport?
Yep.
You know?
It is amazing. It is. I always bring up the story. Mac, you might know this. I will never forget the day my kid came home from school. Here's a kid from Northville, Michigan, 30 miles away from where the Lions are playing, okay? He comes home from school in his brand new Lion jersey and everything, and he looks all bummed out. I'm like, what's up, kid? And he's like, Dad, I got kids at school making fun of me because I'm a Lions fan. Like, that's where we were at. Like, that's real. That's where we were at. This kid running around in his Tom Brady jersey. This kid running around in his LaDainian Tomlinson jersey. Literally making fun of kids that love the Detroit Lions. It's funny how things have changed, isn't it? It's amazing what can happen when you actually have good leadership.
Yeah.
And I've said it for 1,000 years, okay? And I'm going to continue to say it, all right? I refuse to believe in the theory that fill-in-the-blank team sucks and always will suck. I refuse to believe that.
Yeah.
Because in my lifetime, I saw the dead things. I saw people say the same thing. It's amazing what happens when you bring in the right people, who then brings in the right people. Then you have the Golden State Warriors. What a nothing franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely nothing franchise. Then you have the New Jersey Devils, who a guy who never says anything negative about anybody referred to them as a Mickey Mouse organization. Yes, Wayne Gretzky said that.
Yeah.
It's amazing what happens when you bring the right people in who bring the right people in. Shocker, I'm late. Sorry, Spenny. Big D Energy, Woodward Sports.
Speaking of bringing the right people in, we'll be joined by Dr. Jeff Pierce, the injury insider, coming up next. But first, let me tell you about the Woodward Sports Morning Show. Wake up, Woodward, every day, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. You got Kool-Aid, Flannel, Broder, KG, JB, Korean Jesus. The whole gang is all there every day, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Only on Woodward Sports. Make sure you guys check it out. And check out the Ally Challenge. The Ally Challenge presented by McLaren is back August 22nd through the 25th at Warwick Hills, leaving the golf to the pros. But don't miss the party at 17, $2 birdie beers, concerts, and more. Get your tickets at allychallenge.com. Brought to you by Randy Wise Automotive.
Braylon Edwards here, Premier Pet Supply. Man, just looking around, who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda? A chef for Lola? Really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supply has everything that your pet can dream of, and guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out premierpetsupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets?
Nobody! A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man-meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
You will see it shortly, but make sure you check out Dr. Pierce every Tuesday on Big D Energies coming up next, and Thursdays on Ermanni and Edwards. Don't miss out on expert sports injury insight with Dr. Jeff Pierce of Michigan Sports and Spine. Trust the guy that DMAC trusts. Dr. Jeff Pierce is here to keep you in the game and performing at your best. For more information, visit michigansportsandspine.com or call 248-426-9944.
All right, welcome back in. Dr. Pierce is in the house, and we have not talked about high school lacrosse yet. I'm sure we will at some point in time, but we're both fans of that product. It is really growing. I mean, look, lacrosse is kind of blowing up all over the place. Do yourself a favor and check out some of the great programs out there. That's a public service announcement. You'll thank me for it later. But Dr. Pierce kindly joining us. And you know, Dr. Pierce, first things first, before we talk about some of the injuries that you know we're all trying to talk about and play the role of, well, a doctor. You had your golf outing yesterday. Mother Nature wasn't very kind. There's no doubt about that. That's the summer that we've had around here. But I think it bears repeating. The golf course was had, and you're really going out there and trying to help some key causes.
Yeah, I mean, Athletes Unlimited, it's a charity we started about 28 years ago, and it's great. We had our 27th golf outing at Fieldstone yesterday. Braylon was out there putting the pressure on me. I actually didn't perform well, so I'm not looking forward to Thursday's show. But I played really well. I mean, Darren's already smirking. Yeah, Paigey carried the team. So my daughter did carry the team along with some of the guys from 313. But, yeah, it was great. I mean, we had about 140 people golfing. We had a 45-minute rain delay. We got everything from the lightning strikes to all that. But everybody hung out. We had lunch, and we went back out and finished it up. And I think what feedback was, everybody had a great time. But it's really about the cause. Vladimir was there yesterday. I announced, and I'll do it here too. I mean, it's emotional because we saw Vladdy at the peak of his career, terrible injury, very cognitively impaired, brain injury, the whole thing, and then he's out playing Uno. So everybody knows the card game Uno. So it's a big deal from a medical standpoint, just to mix the medical, the sports, and the impairment. And what he did is he took on our best player, our impaired player in Uno, and he beat him. He beat him on the last card. So what I explained to everybody that it's amazing the progress that Vladdy's made. I mean, you've seen him.
Can you talk to that? Because everybody who asks me, it's not just me, it's all my brethren or whatever. When we see Vladdy nowadays, and I'll see him once a month somewhere or whatever,
right,
doing, like, he's more with it than I can remember him even being 20 years ago or whatever. Like, there's the recognition. Like, he definitely knows who I am. It's always like Mac and, like this and whatever. He knows Drake, like all the guys and stuff like this. Is there, like, can you, like, on a maybe like as a professional, like, tell us what is the cause of that with having the severity of 7% chance of living because of the trauma to that's what they came out and told us at the hospital or whatever, prepared that you're probably going to lose your teammate, and then we didn't to now. Is there a big reason for that for anybody who's going?
There's a couple ways to explain it. I mean, just to keep it simple, just to go back to the example of Uno. He wasn't able to put one and one together, right? When you play the card game Uno, you have to actually have the dexterity of moving the cards. Remember, he couldn't really hold things or manipulate anything. So he's able to manipulate the cards, which was amazing, number one. Number two is to know the numbers, the colors, and how to play the game. And he was playing so fast, he was playing faster than the other player. And he was beating them. And he did this at our Top Golf. It was Vladdy, so he picked he challenged every cute girl.
Of course he did.
In the
something's never changed.
At our outing, which we have a lot of support volunteers, but he beat him on the last card, and it was Zeus, one of our top athletes. He's a bilateral amputee, and he beat. I watched it. I watched it live that he beat him, and Zeus they're competitive. He wouldn't let him win, but to explain to you, it means it gives a lot of hope. Our science and our medications and our therapy. I mean, Vladdy's fortunate. He has 24-hour care, but he's pushing that cognitive. So there's a lot going on. You say he recognizes you. He sees me probably 4 times a year, and he recognizes me, get the hug, and the whole recognition. But it gives hope for brain injury. There's a lot of advances that's going on in the science of it. And Vladdy, fortunately, has been able to respond. But it's also about we don't understand the brain. The brain, when people say, "Oh, you got a 10% brain you use," for us here, we probably are maybe at, I won't comment, but we're not using the capacity of our brain. And once one part shuts down, we may retrain the other. So his cognitive, his dexterity, I mean, everything's going on. That's why it's so amazing. I'm going on and on this. But it's amazing to see him with the bilaterals, so using both hands and the dexterity and the brain. It's multiple parts of the brain to understand the cognition of what he's doing. So everybody's watching it, and my fan base is that, he's just playing Uno. But nobody realizes the science behind it. Like when we talk about occupational therapists, we really don't know what they do. That's the stuff they help with. They distract you. So like go button your shirt for a rehab, like for a stroke patient. So Vladdy's like a pseudo stroke patient where, okay, I gotta coordinate both sides and button, and then get it lined up. And there's all those other things. Or, put the screws on the bolts on this little platform. They think it's all silly, but it's all working your brain to re-educate, to regrow. And the brain, I've always said the body is the most amazing machine ever invented. It self-heals. So this is, you guys are, I don't know if you're listening or
No,
just
I have a follow-up question in a second, but go ahead.
But there's like, we call it sprouting. So there's things that are sprouting in your brain to regrow. Like when we lose a neuron or we lose a cell, it sprouts to the next one and grows. That takes time. So you're seeing that over a long period of time in what's being encouraged and what's being trained to him. So we have the abilities to improve. We may not get back to normal, but Vladdy getting back on the ice with sled hockey was huge. And that's inspiring to him. You saw depression in him. You saw anxiety. You saw a man stuck in a shell of his body, which is now blossoming. I don't know if I should say it that way. That's a crude way to say it, but it's a simple way to say it too. Vladdy is blossoming. You've seen him over the years where it's states of depression, didn't know what to do, and now he's got purpose in his day. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot to be said.
The brain is interesting because anybody that's been through this, one of the most sobering moments is when you take a look at a picture of your brain, and the doctor points out to you the spots where you've had the concussions, where you've had the brain damage. And doctor, I think what you're saying is, look, you can't quote unquote heal it, but it can get better. Is that the best way to, is that a way to say it?
I mean, that's a simple way to say it, is that the body has a way to reform. There's other parts of the brain that, you shut off one, or you focus, or you're an athlete, and now you're an individual in the workforce. There's different parts of the brain for different purposes, which is amazing. And I truly believe we only know a very small amount about the biology or the physiology of the brain. So this is just proving to us that there's other things. Like, I know there's medications now, there's crazy medications. They talk about, artistic people have this going on, and the brain mapping and PET scans and things like that, the activity level is what we're learning. So I think we only know a fraction of how the brain works.
Mosley?
What's that? Yeah.
I know you were interested to ask about.
Yeah. I mean, I without sounding crass, but it's not his knees, so now it's his shoulder or whatever like this. But like the injuries that come up, and looking pectoral tear or whatever, it's just season-ending injury or stuff like this. I mean, he's run into some really tough luck, so to speak, every training camp. But
yeah, I just don't. I don't know what his secret sauce is in the locker room, but when you start tearing pec muscles, that's a hard muscle to tear. So I don't know. The first thing we look at, and not saying this is it, but like with some of my injuries, a lot of it comes from bodybuilders. Bodybuilders are supplementing. Certain supplements can make your muscles a little bit more brittle. I didn't see the actual injury, how the impact of it, and what he was doing. But it's a hard muscle to repair. The guy's had terrible luck. I don't know. I would suggest him take a step back from a medical health standpoint and do a full evaluation, a whole physiological evaluation of his bone structure, his ligaments, things like that. So it says out indefinitely. I hate the word indefinitely with sports injuries, but I think that's just because we don't know, because he's had so many injuries in a short period of time. It could, we could chalk it up to bad luck. Like Cronwell, I always refer to Cronwell. Remember when he had like 3 bad injuries in less than a year, and I was the one who suggested we need to take it to another physiological workup to make sure we're not missing anything from, not a serious disease, but a disease that affects, autoimmune. There's other stuff we can get into with that.
There's other stuff going on, so there might be other stuff going on there.
Well, we just want to this is the point where we double check everything. That, okay, you've had you had an ACL, there was an injury there. Is there something underlying that makes you a little bit more fragile? Your ligaments a little more fragile.
You know what, Darren, you were gone, but I know you know this guy. He was your teammate, and everybody knows him. He's one of the best defensemen to ever play the game. But when I knew Nick Lidstrom was done, was the frustration in his face because his body wasn't bouncing back. He didn't need to tell me 3 months later he was retiring. you could see it in his face because something that was so easy, he always had, you know it better than anybody, Mac, you were his teammates. He always bounced back so easily. And I'll never forget, I was there one day and he goes, I'm just not, this isn't responding. Like this, it's not happening. And it's, so I think these guys know their own bodies, doctor. Like, if something like that's going on, there's something amiss, and he doesn't want to trifle with it.
We should only be graced to do that after 20 years.
Yeah, right.
Like Nick Lidstrom.
Well, I mean, Nick is a different specimen because he was respectful to his body all the time.
Right.
He was a smooth character. It became so fluent. So it wasn't like some of these athletes that they come in as a kid, an immature kid like Jameson, where it's immature and we can get you better from there. Nick was always at the top. I mean, I love talking to him about the way they train differently over in Sweden, how they brought him up. They brought him up with a better infrastructure than we do here for hockey. I mean, he taught him all the basics, taught him what was important, taught him how to play, taught him the game, and it was just a smoother transition. So he's a different example. I mean, he ran the course, and as smooth as Lindstrom was, he left elegantly too.
Yep.
Played the game perfect, and you're right. I mean, you wake up and it's like your mind's still there, and the body's just not reacting the way you did. And to be honest, he probably could have played 2-3 more years just because. But at his standard, he couldn't play at his standard. For the NHL standard, and a lot of guys are playing for that extra dollar and a few more years. And we did it with Tim Duncan out in San Antonio. Same thing. We were involved. I was personally involved in that. Got him 3-4 more years and probably another $400 million or something like that. But between his Adidas contract and the San Antonio contract, but. The thing is, I think the education, I mean, with the Lions, I know the Lions are hot right now. What's Campbell doing? We've talked about it before. Is the mentality to just push, and I was listening to you guys before I came on, next man up mentality. Yeah, I mean, that's good, but will that win you Super Bowls? Are you going to be able to fill the holes every time? Are you going to get too many injuries that weren't necessary? I guess hindsight's great, but our prediction is, that's his motto. That's what he's played with. I'm going on 4th down. I'm playing my players, who's ever there, and we're all a team. There's no individuals on this team. We're all a team, and he's proving it that it's a team sport, and you're going to help the guy next to you if he's hurt. Be ready to fill in. So everybody on that sideline isn't coasting, which is a good thing because a lot of sidelines, half these guys they're not putting that effort in. I think the Lions. Every guy that's playing or sitting on the sidelines says, I could go in the next second. I think there's a positive there with that.
Our network's better than your network because we have a doctor on call. Seriously. No, Dr. Pierce, always a pleasure. Hey, tell everybody how they can help out with your charity as well.
It's Athletes Unlimited. You can go to Michigan Sports and Spine. We have a great Top Golf event coming up this October. We just have to move it now because the Pistons granted the Wheelchair Pistons, which we sponsor, the October 10th date. They granted them that day to be the celebrity wheelchair game. So maybe Mac will play in the celebrity game, and we'll get everybody out there for that. But we're going to come out with the date. But it's for impaired athletes. You see what's going on. The Paralympics are coming up. You're seeing a lot of commercials. Toyota's pushing it. Thank you to Toyota. But I always tell the story that we saw Athletes Unlimited 28 years ago. I was fortunate. I was already involved with the NHL and the NBA, had good contacts with Gatorade and Nike, begged them to sponsor our team and put them as the inspirational, and now you're starting to see it now. So I think Athletes Unlimited had the vision of 25 years ago that finally coming through, so we never gave up.
I'll check them out. Certainly check out Dr. Pierce as well, our injury insider. Always a pleasure. Dr. Pierce, thanks for coming in. You can check him out all throughout the week here on Woodward Sports. We are way late. Spenny's throwing things at me. You can't see it, but he's throwing things at me. But we'll get back. We had a great mailbag yesterday. Some questions from you. That's why we're here. Glad you could join us. Big D Energy on Woodward Sports.
And if you need to buy a new house, there's only one person you should check out, and that is Mark White, because Mark White is going to help you dreaming of buying a new home but feeling the financial pinch. Mark White and Associates, your trusted real estate experts, are here to help. Mark White and his team will pay up to $5,000 of your closing costs. That's right, I said $5,000. Call Mark White and Associates today at 248-290-8242 or visit them at markwhitesells.com. Again, call Mark White today at 248-290-8242 to make your dreams come true.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles, and with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
The countdown to kickoff is here. Your Detroit Lions are ready for another season of grit. Woodward Sports is your #1 destination for all breaking news and Lions coverage. We are Detroit's #1 sports network. We are Woodward Sports. Enough Detroit sports. Make sure you listen to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz next, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. on the Woodward Sports Network.
Child custody or any other family issues, KDK Law should be your first call. Kevin and Catherine in Birmingham have been doing this for years, and they will take care of business for you. You can scan that QR code right there, and they will cover your filing fee. That's right, they will cover your filing fee. It's Kevin and Catherine of KDK Law in Birmingham, kdklawoffices.com.
Dude, are you guys seeing that rain out there? Look at that.
Yeah, oh, it's crazy.
Jeez, oh Pete. Like, I saw you walk over and kind of look. I mean, there's a river going down Woodward right now. Jeez.
This must be up from the tornado on the west side of the state. This must be like repercussion weather coming from over there. Would be my guess.
I cannot believe how wet it's been. Jeez, oh Pete, I feel like an old man talking about the weather.
That's what he said.
Like honestly, for us, like my backyard, we have woods in my backyard. And I'm telling you right now, like, you can't even use my backyard. Look at that. Take a look at that. The bugs out there, dude, the mosquitoes are everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I took the dogs out, and you watch the mosquitoes just converge on the poor dogs. And I'm like, I'm not doing this.
Oh, I get ripped up by mosquitoes every year.
It's incredible.
So am I. I'm bait. They love me for some reason.
I got O positive blood. I got that good stuff, they come after me.
It's like, so outside, front door, that's where we go outside, go potty. I'm not going out back. They're going to get bombed by those mosquitoes. Mac, you and I both had a front row seat to that, which Dr. Pierce talked about. And if you haven't checked out some of the footage, do yourself a favor. But I think it bears repeating. That is one of those nights for so many of us. You will never forget where you were, how you heard, the heartbreak. Because listen, again, I don't care who you root for. I don't care who your favorite team is. I don't care if you're the Avs' biggest fan in the world or the Flyers' biggest fan in the world. The entire world, certainly the hockey world, was mourning on the night of that fateful accident. But the story didn't end there. This is a guy that looked different. There's no other way to say that. I wish I could verbalize it. He looked different, and there was the flashback, Mac, and that's what made me happy.
We're talking about Vladimir Konstantinov, and so 27 years ago with the fateful car accident, almost took his life. But just over the last 27 years, the progress that is made. I was saying between the break, there's a picture that was taken in the sled hockey game before we played the Ranger game. Vladdy back on the ice for the first time. And there's a picture of him sitting in the sled with the puck on his stick. And when you look at it and he's looking down at it, you don't see Vladimir Konstantinov. I don't see Vladimir Konstantinov in a sled. I see that eye of the tiger right defenseman getting ready to pound that puck or pound an opponent, whatever like that. And to me, that's just, in tragic situations that you look for the positive, and that is. And to hear Doc, who's worked with Vladdy and been around Vladdy, and we all go like the development, and it's not just us, it's everybody out there that's been a fan, that lived through it. One of the big things that I always say when I travel around doing my comedy is we never mourned, right? Everybody Red Wing fan went through this loss of Vladimir Konstantinov, but it wasn't properly mourned. Now, the Believes 98 Cup was sort of the caveat to that. But this is really the life caveat that we're seeing 27 years later that, you know, because his quality of life has improved, and it's through his hard work. And I think he's just demonstrating that what we saw, the warrior on the ice, the warrior off the ice. And I think for anybody who's going through that with family members or anything, that it's got to give you some hope. And that's all you can do in today's day and age, is have some hope.
Correct me if was it Everett Sanapass that he dropped the headbutt on at the punch out in Pistani?
Yeah.
Was it Everett Sanapass? If that doesn't tell you, like, the warrior that he is, and you're a young man, but you're a hockey fan, look that up. World Junior Championship. Punch out in Pistani.
Yeah, the brawl between Canada and Shanny was
all these Russians. Darren, I got no other way to say it. They all started getting their asses whooped.
Yeah.
What's it called?
The Punch Out in Pistani, the World Juniors 87. But all these Russians are in the process of just getting. Look, their dicks knocked out. Like Mike Keene's beating up multiple guys at the same time, and somebody decides that they want to go mix it up with Vladdy. And Vladdy just headbutts his nose in. If that doesn't tell you, like, that's Vladimir Konstantinov.
That's
hey,
it.
what's Vladimir Konstantinov? This guy came up to fight him thinking he's going to be another, Canadian route, and he had his nose spread across his face like that. That's Vladdy.
There's no headbutting in hockey either, but
right.
Vladdy obviously didn't get the memo.
Yeah. We have mailbag,
Yep.
Big D-E. Mailbag, anything out there, Spenny?
We can go to break, let them come in, and then pound it hard when we get back.
So we're back on time?
We're back on time.
So you're not mad at me anymore?
No, I'm not. No, I'm happy.
That's a
lie. We're actually 2 minutes late, but it's
okay.
all right.
But for you, that's on time.
Yeah. That's all right.
Anyways, how would you like to play the University of Michigan golf course with our very own Braylon Edwards? It's the Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour. Register today, and you can round off our foursome. You're not playing today, though. Don't worry, you're not playing today. Go to @woodwardsports.com or scan the code on the screen. When it comes to your next car or truck, make the wise decision. Randy Wise Automotive.
Come to any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men and claim your throne for a king's treatment from one of our talented stylists. Open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Just get to a Lady Jane's today and receive a precision haircut, scalp massage, hot lather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. A haircut should not be a chore. It should be an experience. And that's exactly what Lady Jane's has to offer. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins are always welcome. There's always a location near you. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, it's wicked awesome.
The Ally Challenge presented by McLaren is back August 22nd through 25th at Warwick Hills and Grand Blanc. Be there for PGA Tour Champions Golf, Family Night, concerts, and more. Tickets start at just $15. Get yours at allychallenge.com today.
Detroit sports. Make sure you listen to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz next 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. on the Woodward Sports Network.
Join the best youth football team in Metro Detroit. The Boys and Girls Club of Southeastern Michigan's 3C Sports League offers youth ages 5 to 14 6 exciting teams to choose from in Detroit, Belleville, Highland Park, and East Point. All coaches are certified, trained, and undergo background checks. Register for football or cheerleading at bgcsm.org. Equipment, meals, and transportation included, all for a chance to play for a championship at Ford Field for just $175 per child. Put the youth back in youth sports with BGCSM 3C Sports.
18 days to week 0. Not that I'm counting. I needed to get it done. Did you know how excited I am?
Yeah.
Like that. Like noon, and I don't care if you got all the bells and whistles. You don't have the pregame shows. I get to watch real college football.
Yeah, it's back. Nice slate that first week 0 too. So
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it, and it's a bunch of games that I couldn't give two shits about.
I mean, there's good games this year, though.
There is, and you know what? The one thing that pisses me off about college football that I think they miss out on, okay?
Yeah.
Is you have opening day for everybody else is August 31st, right?
Right.
Then you have that Sunday where there's absolutely no NFL going on.
Yeah.
None. If I'm college football,
over the weekend?
I load that whole day up.
It would make sense.
No,
Yeah.
seriously,
Noon,
why does it smell
3,
like caca and wee-wees in
7,
here?
10.
Yeah.
You own that day. There's no NFL. They only
Midnight,
have
Hawaii.
the one game. Right? Yeah, right. Shamil,
Feel okay.
Shmazel. All right, mailbag, Spenny, anything we got?
Let's see. What do we got here? Mailbag. Shawnee B, which high school hockey teams do you have circled as must-see this season? That's from Mike G.
Which high school hockey? You Central.
Catholic Central.
Yep.
That period, end of story. There's Catholic Central and everybody else. That's just the way it is.
No,
I
seriously, why
think
does it smell like caca
you're
and
going to
wee-wees
see a
in here?
situation where Stevenson's going to take a step up, and if you're looking for a dark horse, Howell. Howell's got a heck of a lot of talent. I like their coach a lot. Trenton is always in the mix. I think Brother Rice takes a step back up in the right direction, but there you go. Don't twist my arm.
Where
to talk.
is high school hockey in this state at right now as far as competitiveness or talent?
So I'm going to use your son as an example because for people out there that don't know, his son played in high school hockey. 10 years ago, forget about 20, 30 years ago, my generation, 10 years ago.
UD Cubs.
It was here. Today it's here. Because
Okay.
what you're seeing now, Darren, is guys jump straight from the high school ranks to go to the Ontario Junior Hockey League, to go to the North American, the NAL.
30 years ago, that never happened.
Never.
High school was the end of your high
And they were
your hockey
few and
career.
far between even 10 years ago. And occasionally you're seeing guys jump right to the USHL as well. And as you know, and anybody who's a hockey fan out there, give them a year in this league, 2 years in that league, and all of a sudden that leads to this kid's playing at the University of Michigan. That kid's playing at Michigan State. This kid's playing at Union, wherever the case may be. They have a term called the proven path now, complete with examples as such. And it's great, in my opinion, that the high school ranks are getting out in front of it and saying, it isn't the death that people thought it was before. You're moving kids on, and it's beautiful.
Here to this point, right? There was a Ben Johnson around before Ben Johnson up from Calumet.
You got
Won
it.
Player of the Year 10 years ago when UAD, my son was up there. I went up there, watched him play. Probably the best high school player I've ever seen play. Speed-wise, I think he went to the O or stuff like this.
Yep. Windsor.
So you're telling me now there's not just one Ben Johnson, there's like 3 or 4
You got it.
like these guys. So
You got it.
that really and shout out to the Michigan High School Athletic Association and stuff like this. And you know what? Like you said, Catholic Central, they're the Alabama, right?
No question.
They're the
No
Alabama,
question.
and they just turn it over. But there is other talent, and I love this because even hearing, I noticed kids that are going, and instead of playing AAA and stuff like this, they're playing for their high schools, and still it's not the end of their career. So something to watch out for.
Yeah.
You never know. There could be right down the line is somebody that plays on your Red Wings that played high school hockey in the state.
These kids, Joey Larson is a perfect example. Joey Larson is a stud. Mark my words, he will play in the National Hockey League. Okay? I watched that kid play for years at Heartland. I knew. Anybody that watched him knew.
Yeah.
He might not take the quick roll there, but he's going to go like that to get there. Go ahead, Spenny.
I got a good one in here. I just lost
No,
it.
seriously, why does it smell like caca and wee-wees in here?
Per Chase Amley, mailbag.
Shout
What
out.
is the most impressive achievement/accomplishments in sports? He says a perfect game in baseball seems to be like a solid answer.
Perfect game, 300.
Yeah.
300.
300 bowlings, yeah.
I'm trying to
I'd
think.
even put
And-
that over 300 over the hole in one.
There has to be some equivalent in golf. I don't know what it would be, but there has to be.
Albatross.
Yeah.
That's an albatross.
Is an albatross harder than a hole in
making
one?
a 2 on a par
Boy,
5.
that's tough.
I'm trying to.
Because a hole in one is more accessible than an albatross.
Right. With the 300 or a perfect game, you make one mistake and it's over.
It's over,
Like it's
yeah.
got. Boy, that's,
I think the 300 more because it's all you and the lane. Where perfect game, you got to rely on your team.
Yeah.
Right.
Dude could boot an easy grounder and it's not a perfect game anymore.
Yeah.
That's good logic. That's good logic. All right, we out of here?
Yeah, we're out of here.
All right, boys, thank you. We will talk soon. Mac, always a pleasure. Kay, Justin, Spenny, appreciate you most
Have a
importantly.
great wet day. It's going to get better tomorrow, guys.
Appreciate you. We'll see you. Bye.
No, seriously, why does it smell like caca and wee-whiz in here?